you might have felt, I'm a failure as a parent. Your kids will get on your side with you, mum, when you're in alignment. Let's go and do something different.
Hello, Grand Risings. It is the 22nd of September 2022, and I am really excited for many, many reasons today. First and foremost, we have Soul School this weekend in Bournemouth. Get ready to have your soul activated if you are coming. I'm really looking forward to seeing you.
I saw that.
And secondly, but by far, this is on exactly the same level, I get to hang out with my soul sister for an hour today.
Babes, it's always cool to be here, and you and I know we like helping mums. All right, now you're not a mum yet, but you will be. But you're a mum to your sisters. Look, we're often mum to our parents. There's a mama bear in you, and obviously I'm a mum, so it's but we're here to help the mamas, and sometimes to help a mama, babe, you've got to be truthful, right? You got to help them get on their page. Yeah,
for sure. So just for those of you guys that are maybe watching this for the first time, Debs is somebody who I worked with back in 2015 for a few years. We went on a magical journey together. She's one of the only people that I worked with during my awakening journey. I haven't really been one of those people to go out and find lots of different people, because I found her, and she helped me and ignited within me, what had already ignited a little bit before I met her, was that I just wanted to get this shit done. So Debs has held space for me over for a few years, and she is an incredible woman. I'm going to put up all of her details in the description below. But Debs, how do you refer to yourself these days? Because I know the healer doesn't really sit right.
No, this is what I think of. I think whatever you become in this world, and I've mentioned this before, I think on our last call, whatever you've become is what you give, what you're gifting the world, right? So I guess what you could say about me is I work one-on-one with people. I stand with them as they hook back up with their own higher self, their own wisdom. But the mama page is big for me because I live in a conscious family unit. So, before I got married, I cleared my, old life shit. I got myself straight. I chose a conscious partner, and then we birthed consciously. So it's like this conscious living family unit. And obviously being in that unit, I can help. I'm sitting on 15 years of wisdom of living that way. So I guess you'd say I'm living by example, and I can help people really tighten up their link with their higher self.
Can I just say something before you go on, Debs? Because I think it's really important, because there's a lot of people out there, men and women, that didn't get on top of their shit before they got married or before they birthed a child. And this video is really going to help those people, right? We're going to, it's going to help people that have gone on their journey as well. But it's really going to help people that is, this is predominantly for the mamas with high vibrational children, like that.
Oh yes, it's mamas all the way today. We could do a thing for the dads.
We will do
the mums.
But it's very important to recognize, and actually what I'm seeing through a lot of my clients at the moment, Debs, and a lot of the communications that I'm getting, is people are not owning their shit. They're still blaming, but they're not blaming their partner or their child anymore. They're blaming psychic attacks or, interdimensional beings or entities, or, it's just same, but we've just shifted. So I don't think that this could have come at a better time, personally.
Yeah, and you're right. It's going to basically help the mums that were maybe a bit unconscious with either the way they chose their partner or even how they've parented and stuff. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with that. They're just different journeys. And you and I did a call some time ago, and we called it "Your Children Choose You." I think that was the title. And they do. And if someone's not quite awake, then a child is going to play a different role in their life. Okay. If they are awake, like I was awake, then, I got a child that left their switches on, that was kind of aware and stayed, so it's quite different. So children do choose you. And so it doesn't matter if you did do it unconsciously, but it's what you do with it now that's different, because right now we are all in this quickening phase. And a mum is the most precious thing in a family unit. because she holds space for her family. She even holds space for her husband. And there are some husbands that are playing that role too. But a mum is very important. And we know it's the time of the matriarch, it's the time of the feminine energy and all of that stuff. We don't have to get into is key. So I like to help the mums because then they hold the space for the kids, because there's nothing wrong with the kids, babe. I think you know that, right?
You don't need to tell me that, but other people definitely need to hear that message, Deb.
Yeah,
it's really important.
So the kids, you see, they're wired already. They're already schooled on the inner planes before they get here. And let's look to the title, right? So I said help for mums with high vibe kids. Well, all kids are high vibe, right? But they play different roles depending on the parent and where the consciousness of the parent's at, right? So in that video we did, I said there are two main types, and I've been working with this for over 15 years, you know, with the one-on-ones and, you know, the ones that have got kids that they feel are out of balance. You know, I've done loads of sessions with those mums, but also obviously I'm living through my own experience of being conscious in it, right? But I talk about that conscious soul to soul connect. So if you have done your work, and if you're doing your work before you have a child like you, my darling, and you're conscious about who you're going to be with, you are going to attract a child that's probably going to keep its switches on. It's going to show up as balanced. It's going to, you know, it knows that you know who you are, and it doesn't have to react to any energy that you're not carrying old crap. So it doesn't have to react. So that's different. But this is what mostly happens, right? And this is where we want to give a hand. The other type of relationship, parent-child relationship, is the karmic balancer. Now, everyone's heard the word karma. Let's just think of it like this. It's just a balancing energy. Now, karmic balancing parent-child relationships will basically, the child is still high vibe, but it's got to show up with an issue. Why? Because it's got to wake the parent up. It's got to shake the parent. It's got to balance the old karma. So that child has chosen to come back to that parent to solve that, to balance that old energy. And it's huge right now. Why?
Sorry, Deb.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Go on,
just to be really clear here, this isn't just a physical issue. You know, so when you said,
no.
the child comes through with an issue, like a lot of people will go, yeah, well, my child doesn't have a physical issue. They will bring stuff to you, whether it's physical, spiritual, mental, emotional, right?
Yeah, they act like a mirror, babe, right? So yes, it can show up in many different ways. But remember, if you're in a karmic balancing parent-child relationship, and so there's issues with what appears like issues with a child or issues in the family, then there is a balancing of energy going on. So there's probably old karma. There could be karma between the child and dad, the child and mum, the child and the siblings. And what's most important right now is these karmic balancing little podlets, I call them, these family units. They're actually the most important unit on the planet, really, because they're the ones that are clearing the old energy. They're solving the old problems. So it is both an honorable thing, a tricky thing, but it requires the parent in capitals, to step up. And a mum normally does it first, because a mum is kind of conscious of, she's more heart-based in general, and she's kind of conscious of stuff.
Okay, so just before we go on, can we give a couple of examples that could look like? So let's say, for example, karmic could look like a separation from the mother and between the mother and father, right? That could be a karmic entanglement. The child has come in because, you know, they've accepted that they're going to go through this karmic to bring the parents back into balance by them actually separating.
It can show up in so many ways. The child can show up with ADD. It challenges the parents. The parents have to get on the same page. They realize then, oh my goodness, my child is showing up with that. I need to experience something I may have done even with that child before, right? So where I'm living through balancing the energy. I'm putting up with this kind of shift, this pattern, and the child does it so it helps the parents come together, and it also it helps pay the karma off. I'm going to give you another really extreme example. Well, let's get real with this, right? So I had a lady not too long ago, and she had 3 children, and her middle child, you know, she talked to me about. And, you know, when I do sessions, they're very private. And I said to her, you need to be authentic and very honest with me right now. And she said to me, my middle child, I hate him. I don't like him. And we looked at the old lives, babe, and guess what? That child had killed that mum in another life. They were different things to each other. But that child had to come in under that parent's umbrella because there's still outstanding karma balance. There's an imbalance in energy. So that's another way it can show up. Profound.
Yeah.
And she's,
I just want to be really clear, because some people will be there going, well, my kid's not autistic, or my kid doesn't have ADHD, or, you know, and I just want to be really clear. It could show up in relationships breaking down, separations.
Yes.
It can show up in, you know, being
just
moved,
resistance between you.
Just anything. And it could be between husband and wife, or partner and partner. It could be between the child and the parent. Like, I just want to make really clear, because a lot of people will go, oh no, that's not me. Oh, that's, and it's so important.
Well, let me tell you this.
Everybody takes ownership right now of the fact that any mishaps, you know, it's through karmic.
Yes. And when you're in a family unit, you can't just walk away from it, can you? So it's set up that way. So you basically got to step up and own your stuff. And yes, kids act like a mirror. So it can show up in all different ways. I mean, the whole reason I do one-on-one with people is because we get into the nitty-gritty, because those people have got to understand why they're with that kid. What's the wisdom they're getting out of it? Even if the kid's got learning difficulties, right? So they're like, oh, okay, so I've got a kid with learning difficulties. It's what's going on in the parent, or the parent not being on their path, or not being in alignment, not doing the work, that can create an instability in the child.
Yes.
And if they're meant to have this learning disability, it's not really a disability. They're showing other people. So that child has got a purpose to show the teachers and everybody else that it doesn't always work the way they used to think it was. You know, used to think it did. So that parent then might have to live through that experience as part of their karma. Okay. And if you're unconscious when you have them, and you're still carrying your old stuff, and everybody's been doing that, then that's the child has to show it as well, show it in imbalance in so many different ways. Like, okay, it's another example. This just happened a little while ago. I had a mum that had a 2-year-old, right? She said to me, Deb, my kid's been brilliant, but suddenly lately he's been freaking out. He's a bit anxious, and he's a bit he looks a bit, you know, showing symptomology for ADD. She said, I said to her, look, let's have a look. Let's chat to his higher self, you know. So I get close and talk to the higher self of the child. Babe, the only reason the child was showing that is because the mum's doing headspace. She's got lots to do. She's not writing things down. And we know mums, we all have lots to do. But she wasn't keeping herself in check. And the kid was showing her how fractious and in her mind she was. So it's showing. A couple of weeks later, not even that, I think it was less than that, that child stopped doing that behavior. That child, is a little boy, was showing mum, hey, get in alignment, get in alignment. You know, because when you're in alignment and you're conscious, you know what to do with your kids. You don't want anyone telling you what to do with them. You know what to do, right? When you're conscious, and when you're present. But most people, what they do is they get into their head and they start thinking parenting as well. When they get into issues, they start thinking about it. They don't feel it. And you've got to get present because you know what to do. Yeah. So just to be clear then, there's 2 types, right? Obviously the conscious parent, the conscious soul to soul is a bit different, all right? And that's its own path, right? But this karmic balancer, this karma stuff must be solved in this life. Why? Because we are moving to that new paradigm, and what we've done in this life is all of us have brought anything in we got to sort. It's a busy life, but we got to get responsible. It's got to be tidy, and you know it, babe. That's why you do what you do. That's why you help people with this.
It's like wading through a swamp of your own shit.
Yeah. And guess what? You know, the most amazing thing about it is it can happen fast. It can happen quick.
Now.
That's why.
Especially now,
That's why
I'm seeing people like go through in 9 days what took 9 months, or in 3 months what took 9 years. I'm like, wow, this is incredible. Now is the time to be doing it, right?
Yes, it is. And that's why we do quantum work, because with quantum work, literally, if someone comes in for one session, you know how this is. We tidy up all their old lives and then all the karma with the family unit. That's got to be done, guys, because otherwise you're going to keep getting funny little patterns show up. It doesn't matter how it shows up, whether it's something wrong with the kid or the mum or the dad or whatever, but it's going to show up. Basically, you'll know if things are out because there's not harmony in the family. Something's going wrong. Someone's sick. All right, if someone's sick, if it's the kid or the dad, or something's going on, there's no harmony there. When there is harmony, it's amazing. It's amazing. So, but they are choices, and you can walk through this, and you do have help. And the best way I could say this to any mum, though, is this. How can we say this? So be honest with your own process first. Now, what we do as mums, we get very tied up in making our kids a project. Can I say it that way?
Yeah.
Like, even this world does that. Like, you got to have this done by then. And we're always comparing our kids. Oh, flaming hell. Forget that and focus on you with you first. So if you're nurturing your own higher self, your connection, everything, you are literally a doorway for your kid to balance their own energies, right? So that's incredibly important. Is the number one thing. Don't make your kids the project. Make the focus you with you. So in your self-love club, all that stuff is great because you're getting the mums to come back to themselves. And the other thing is the kids are already wired, and mums, you need to hear this. Your kids are wired for this new world, but you may not be, and your old energy is impacting them and impacting you. So if you can do you, then you're helping your kid. That's the best way you help your kid. It's you.
I say
Also,
this all
think
the
about
time. I say this all the time, Debs. I think it's really important, and people don't like it. They don't want to do the work themselves. They're blaming everything, and they think that they've got their stuff together. But it is, you've hit the nail on the head. You gotta own it. Start with self, and once you are, everything else will just fall into place. You don't need to be controlling or using other things as a project, right?
Yeah, and when you're actually in alignment with yourself, you've cleared your own stuff. What happens is when you're present with your kids, you literally know what to do and say in the moment. You don't need a quantum healer or someone to tell you what's going on or what that's coming from. You do it yourself. That's my primary thing for me as well, because I really don't think we should tell parents what to do. There's no victim of circumstance here, right? And there's no 1 to 10 on how to do it. There's you with your child. It was planned that way. You guys chose it. It's soul planned. You always choose it before you come. So the only job is to check in. I need to clear myself. Why am I with that soul? Let's clear the karma. Let me get back in alignment. And then the harmony shows up. You don't try and fix the kid. It's very much the other way. This world wants to see everything wrong with the kids, and you know that. And it's not true.
So the key message so far, if I'm getting this right, Debs, is we need to step away from the delusion that we've been in, whereby we think it's everybody else, and take the ownership for self. And if there is any imbalance, it is karmic.
Yes, between you and your kids, definitely. And also it shows up obviously in the marriage, but we're talking to mums today, and I want to get the mums to focus on themselves, because mums don't do that too well. Mums focus on their kid. They love their kids so much. Listen, I love you all mums, but we love them so much that we actually compromise ourselves, put the energy outside ourselves. We focus on them and we forget ourselves. Well, I'm here today to tell you, if you focus on you, that is the very best way you will help your child. Listen, if you can't teach
self-love club, right? It's the ethos of it.
Right. If you can't, let's use your word. If you can't teach a model for your children, self-love, self-respect, alignment, this world is not going to teach them, guys. That's your ultimate responsibility as a parent, to show up in alignment, in harmony, in balance, but you own you. That's self-love. And we're going to do a bit of a journey with this today so we can shift the energy around that. Because, guys, your kids are reacting to your energy. Your kids are mirroring what's going on inside. And partners mirror us as well. So if we can shift the energy for you guys, and you can bring the self-love back as well, like, you know, that's the key. And then you show your kids, because if you really love yourself that much, and you honor yourself, and you get, you know, you invest in yourself, do this for yourself, and then you model that to your kids. Imagine what this world would look like if kids love themselves. They won't put up with second-rate relationships. Are you kidding me?
No way.
They won't put up with you know, lack of boundaries. They won't people please.
No.
A lot of kids people please because they're so sensitive, because parents do
and
it.
Because they watch their parents do it, you know.
Yes.
And this is the thing, like, for anybody, whether you're in a relationship, a separation, anything, remember, your kids are looking at you to be the leader, to show them, to shine the light, so that they know which path to go down. And unless you're shining that, you know, it's no good being, oh yeah, you know, I'm all right, Jack, kind of thing. No, your little people are watching you. They're going to follow in your footsteps.
And you are not a victim, mums, either. And I know it can feel like that, because we can feel, Lucy, as a mum, you can feel overwhelmed, babes. You have lots going on. You try and hold the whole family unit together. Look, I get it. I'm a mum. But you can do it consciously. You own your own stuff, and that's the best way. So to be clear, the best way to help your kids is you get in alignment with yourself. You own your own stuff. Bring the self-love back. No good if you can't show them that. I'm just about finishing and modeling how you model to your kids, right? Because the only way you teach your little people in your world is what you are showing them by your own behaviors. And you would have told your people that. So that will be launched soon, and it will go on my website. But it's so important. It's everything you do. It's your beliefs become their beliefs. Your words become their words. Everything you're doing, become conscious. How were you during COVID? Did you go, oh, this is so terrible, I can't catch up with my friends, and I can, well, and then they're going to do the same. Instead, why didn't you say, oh, look, we can get time, we spend time together. Let's go and do something different. You know, if you're seeing the world as a really bad place and an unsafe place, your kids are going to show anxiety and feel unsafe. And when you're in alignment, none of that applies. You got your own world, babe. Everything works according to your vibration. Life is happening because of your vibration.
Yeah, it's really quite interesting, and obviously I haven't consciously done this, but I'm in awe of the fact that I've gone down the path of having the relationships and stuff, and then I've gone, well, hang on a minute, this isn't working, I need to sort myself out. And now I'm obviously actively mama. I was searching baby daddy, you know, and it's a beautiful space. But I recognize that that's very, very rare, and I am trusting, because I was told this a few years ago, but I'm trusting that that is going to be the light for the younger mums, you know, to be able to follow that footprint eventually when it happens.
Well, when I did it back 15 years ago, I mean, if I could grab someone now, I could just give them almost like a blueprint of what to do. I even cleared some of the body in Caleb's energetic bodies before he came through, because mums, from when you're in your third trimester until they're 7 years old, they're literally imprinting everything in the zone. Everything you say, everything you do, everything that's going on inside you, you name it, they've imprinted it. All right. So it's super important, and you don't want to like have shame and guilt about things you may not have said or may not have done, etc. Because the only day is today. It's what you do today that makes a difference. And this world's going into another level of quickening, so it's what we do today. That's why we want to help these mums. I mean, I woke up with this, and it was like, I connected with you, right? And you're like, yes, let's do it. And I thought, yes, because this is a big thing, because mums make the biggest difference. They are a precious member of a family. They are also, their light that's incoming right now is coming a lot to the females. So she can make a big difference. And by hokey, her kids, like my son, our son is on my side. You're like, we're a team. And so your kids will get on your side with you, mum, when you're in alignment. But until you do that,
Absolutely.
or if you've got this old sticky stuff, just know they've got to keep showing you, hey, in fact, when I'm doing work with someone, I'll often say to them, because it's often a kid or an issue with a perceived issue with a kid that
Yeah.
brings them in for a session, right? And I'm like, okay, mum, so if your child hadn't have showed these different symptoms, or if they hadn't afflict you inward, what you're really saying is you wouldn't have been on your spiritual path. And they're like, oh, when you put it that way. And I'm like, yes, that was your kid's duty to you. As a soul, they love you enough to show you.
Yeah.
So yeah, the karmic balancing parent-child relationship is profound, it's special, but you got to get onto it. You can't just let it run by.
Love
You
it.
can't just not own your stuff. All right. So
Yeah, I
let's
love
help
it.
you girls.
Yeah,
Let's
for
help you
sure.
girls with it. Right. And so let's shift gears, right? Because we know that everything around us, our partners, our kids, everything is responding to this internal vibration we have, right? And everyone is in a cleansing, right? And this karmic balancing parent-child thing is, it's all the stuff's coming up. So what we're going to do is we're going to do this shift in consciousness, right? We're going to hold space for these mums, and everyone that's listening now, when we do this, they'll be included. And we're going to help them let go of their old energies around being a mum. Not just this life, Lucy, all their lives, darling. Anywhere they've been this mother figure, and then they've got old energy stuck. So we're going to help you by shifting your energy,
Beautiful.
which is going to help your kids, right?
Okay.
So this is like the running start. It's like an opportunity of a lifetime, right? In that, if you looked at it like that, because energetically it's big. So much so that I told you before we got on the call, Mother Mary's going to help, Mary Magdalene, that female line. I even had Princess Diana. She hates Princess of the World, but she doesn't like that name. Diana, she came. I even had the lunar goddess talk to me and say, listen, we're going to hold space for these girls that get on this call.
Nice.
And even when you do it, babe, what we'll do is make sure you're doing it, and so everything you've ever done as a mama and a mama bear in old lifetimes will be reset for you today as well.
Wonderful.
So we're going to clear the old, and we're going to
I'll
bring
be
the
pregnant in a
self-love
week.
back. Yeah. Well, it's all good, isn't it? Really, So
we're ready for them to come through.
So being so clear is beautiful. So that's the way I'm going to help you mums. And then girls, I've got a few, Lucy gave me a few emails, and there's some other heaps of tools and hints that we'll just go through after that. But the biggest thing we're going to do today is shift your energy, because if we shift your energy, it shifts it for your kids, and it makes your life a bit more harmonious. And every mum needs that. Trust me. So, okay. Whenever you listen to this, you are with us. So Lucy, just close your eyes, babe. Let's do this together. So we have spiritual helpers here. Welcome to those beautiful representations of the divine feminine. Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, the soul who was Princess Diana, the lunar moon goddess. Welcome. And what's going to happen is they're going to hold the space for you girls. We love you girls. We love you mamas. We're being truthful just before in our conversation. We love you enough to be authentic and truthful and hold space right now. You're awesome. You are needed. And your main role right now is you. So really bring your focus inside yourself. Just follow my voice. Just get into your heart, mums. You know how to do this. When your kids were babies, that's the first thing you did. You dropped into your heart. You felt your way. Imagine right now, we're all gathering in together, all these females. Let's gather as wives, mums, goddesses, and we're coming around a beautiful outdoor fire. See the fire and see everybody gathering. Many of you are going to come to this call, and right now we're holding space for you. I'm getting goosebumps because I know this is big. So feel yourself sitting down around the fire. Look around and see all these other beautiful mums here. Know that these other beautiful ladies, Mother Mary, etc., they're going to stand behind us, hold a space for us. This is all about the divine feminine and the mamas. You are so precious. You're so important. The first thing we're going to do is hold space for a release. Now, mums, I want you to think about a time where you might have felt out of your depth. You might have felt, I'm a failure as a parent. I didn't do something right. I want you to bring this up right now. Shouldas, the shoulda, coulda, woulda. We all kind of evaluate and often spend time thinking of these things. I know you do, mums. I know you do. Bring them up. Anytime where I've judged myself for the way I've shouted at the kids or done something, we want to empty this out of ourselves. So we've got to bring it up right now, girls. So imagine you are just, it's so special, really. You're going into your body, you're inside, you're very present, and you're starting to bring out of your body through your heart space. You're bringing it up and out. And I'm going to give you like a bubble in front of you, and you're going to empty your body of all of that old energy to do with being a mum and where I haven't done it right. There's lots of flavors of that. This world has us judging ourselves. It's shocking. You have to empty it out, though. You got to take responsibility and actually put it in this bubble, okay? Breathe it out. Now, see, you're filling that bubble up of all the things that you don't need as a mum, all right? Things that are hindering you right now, worry, anxiety, what's going wrong, etc. Empty all that stuff out. That's not helping your kids, and it's not helping you, mum. You're holding too much responsibility. Let it go. Put it in this bubble. So now you're inside yourself and you can feel how you've emptied out. You've put this heavier energy that you don't need anymore. And remember, it's not just this life. We're emptying all the lives where you've, had experiences as a mum that don't serve you anymore. And we've all had those. So right now you're empty and you've got it in this bubble. And you're looking at this bubble and you're going, wow, you know what? I've judged myself. This world's judged me. I've second guessed myself. I've felt a failure, and I'm ready to let that go. And you take the bubble to the fire that's in front of you, and walk over and just place it in the fire for me. This is very important. Give thanks as you release that bubble. All that old energy, girls. You deserve to be clear, to have this reset. And your job is just to let go. You don't even need to know details. Just choose to be free and reset for you and your kids. This is the biggest way we can help you. You can see the fire burning up, and all the mums start to giggle because they realize they're putting their old gunk on the fire. You don't need that anymore. You're going to start afresh. It's what you do now. How amazing. What an opportunity. And you're watching this burning up and you're just giving thanks for those old limited experiences. This is the first part that's done. Now we come to the second part. The most important thing you as a beautiful mama can do for your children is show them that you love and respect yourself. Now you have to allow this in. So open your heart, girls. There's a lot of us here right now. We're gathered in this beautiful energy. Now you're going to start to see a beautiful, almost like pink crystal rain, crystal energy, and it's going to start coming down and around you. It's almost like you can absorb it into your heart. Really open your heart wide right now, because mums, you deserve it. Open up and allow this love back, this respect for yourself, this realization of who you are as a mum. Consider this for me, please. If you didn't give your child that body, and some of us have compromised our bodies to bring our children here, right? Or to give them the vessel. If you didn't do that, they wouldn't even be here having a life experience. Can you honor yourself for that? For gifting them with the body and sometimes to the detriment of yourself? Tick. Of course you can. Wow. Now think of every time you've made a yummy meal. You've snuggled your kids in bed, mums. You know, you've wiped their knee, you know, they've graced their knee. You've made them school lunch. You've been there when they're crying. You know, really right now, acknowledge yourself as a mum, because you are one of the most precious facets to your family unit. But it's no good if you can't bring the self-love back, girls, because what you'll do is you'll put the energy outside of yourself. You keep trying to fix and do things outside. You bring it back to you right now, because you deserve it. And if you didn't get the love from your mum, I mean, some of us didn't. I did. But if you didn't, bring that love back to yourself now. You don't need someone else to give it to you. You got to allow it in yourself. Just take a moment to do that. I love and respect myself. Wow. And you're really allowing this new self-love to land. I respect myself. I love myself. I care about myself enough to make sure I put me first, my journey first. And I'm going to show my children how I do this, because that's how I'm going to teach them. I'm going to model it to them. I'm going to show them I respect myself and I love myself. And what you need to remember, girls, is your kids pick up the energy. So you bringing it in, they're going to pick it up. They'll feel that inside you. And that gives them permission to love themselves. This is the best thing ever for a child, you know. So take a few deep breaths and just know you have just received not only support to anchor this in, but girls, bring the love back to yourself. Only you can give it to yourself and really land it. That's super key. Now, Lucy, when you're ready, darling, just open your eyes and just feel and know that reset. It's like, whoa, I let go of old, brought the new in. Girls, now run with this, okay? Don't start focusing outside. Keep loving up. Even if it's something like you go and have a bath for yourself, or you take yourself for a walk, or you listen to a Lucy podcast, you know, whatever it is.
Every day.
Yeah, but you know what, Lucy, when you're a mum, it's so funny because you think, oh, I've got to do the dinner, I've got to do the washing, you know, you just do.
Yeah.
But even if you take 5 minutes, girls, and that's big. So just know that that's landed. That's going to actually unfold in, you know, over a few days. And this is the best way we help you, girls, because you are so important, you know. So let me gather up some of these tools and things that we've got then, shall we? So we can help them with some of the things that came in.
Yeah, for sure.
Sweet. Right. I've got a bit here, darling. Because I put a message out on my Facebook page as well, just to say, hey, what do you guys need a hand with? So I think the best way to do this, and just let me know if you're on this page, if we can generalize for people, we can help more.
Yeah.
There are a couple of specific answers that I can give people. And when someone asks me a question, I can look at layers under that. But I don't want to give people steps 1 to 10, babe. No. I want to help them with the bigger picture.
And also, I think what's very important is that we empower people, activate people to actually do the work themselves, you know.
Babe, yes.
Really
yes. And
right
we
now.
don't carry each other, you know. What we do is women support each other. That's what we're here for, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
We support we empower each other. I love that, Lucy. That's why we're on the same page. So let's just use these things as talking points. So the first thing I want to mention, this is so important, right? In quantum physics, there's something called the observer perspective. So the way you look at something is how it's going to show up for you. So what I want to say about your kids is stop looking at them where there's things wrong. Like, start looking at them instead of thinking, oh, they're my babies, which we do. I get it, girls, but they're my babies. I've got to protect them. I've got to fix them. I've got to, you know, instead of that, start looking at them, observing them as like they're little masters. They're soul buddies. They've come back to me to walk in this path, in this life again. And if there's karma there, you've come back together to sort that, right? Start looking at them like that. It doesn't matter what their age is. I mean, when Caleb was little, even when he's like 1, I never looked at him like, I'm teaching you what to do. I'm like, he's unfolding in front of my eyes. I always looked at him like as a little God. I used to call him my little God, or Master Caleb, I'd call him.
Aww.
But I feel this is very important because often mums are looking at what they're teaching or what they're showing their kids instead of looking at them and knowing them as amazing, powerful souls.
Mm.
All right. So girls, if you can shift that, your kids will start showing up like that.
Yeah. It's this,
do
it's
you
this,
get
it's
my
this
point?
thing of, yeah, definitely. It's this thing of,
Excuse me.
you know, needing to be needed as a mum, even just as a woman, we kind of want to be needed, right? And it's taking away that needing to be needed from your little person and actually empowering them to be their version of who they are intended to be. You know, I think that's a very important message with this.
Yeah, I love that. And the thing is, okay, I'm going to give you this example because I have so many little ones, and I think this is really helpful. I remember, right, at kinder, you know, the play groups and things. I remember this couple that I knew, and they had what they called their naughty child, and then they had the other child. Okay, now everyone does it. I get it, right? Okay, so there's differences, right? So these people kept looking at this person as like this little girl, and she's my naughty child. Now, what actually I saw, because when you're awake, you can see what's going on. I saw, because they keep seeing her that way, she has to keep showing them that, Luce.
Yeah, of course.
So she kept showing up that way because, so what you focus on does grow.
Yeah.
All right. And often we're focusing on what's wrong instead of what's right. And that observer perspective, it's science. It actually tells you, when you keep looking at something, it's going to keep showing up that way. Yeah. So the reason why I want to tell the mums that is because it's so powerful. Because the way I looked at Caleb, he used to front up different. He wouldn't show me as needy, clingy, like, you know, if he's your baby, you know, babies cling. But because I looked at him as this little being, you know, and this is a little soul buddy, he starts showing up like that. So, he, you know, it's profound. It's profound. It sounds very vast, but that's very important. So that's something I just want to say to mums. Very, very, very key. Now, just going to say this too. If you tell a child something and you're not doing it yourself, expect a fight. You can't tell a child to do something and you're something else. Like you've got to be what you're asking. You've got to be what you're dictating. Okay. And that goes with every facet of life. So if you're, however you're seeing there's an issue with your child, it's probably something you haven't fixed inside. You just remember, don't project onto them your thoughts about who they are and all of that. Just start seeing them as bigger beings, observe them as a bigger being, a soul buddy. And, you know, you've got to realize it's through your modeling that you're teaching them. That's the best and most important, you know, thing I could say to people. It's so important. Don't project what you want them to be either, because all the kids that are on the planet right now, I'm going to tell you, there are some new prototypes. There's not just diamond crystals and all that. There are new prototypes here right now. All right. One of the mums that connected in with you, she has a new prototype type of child. So, you know, that all the time, these kids are coming in with different like wiring to lift this vibration of this earth. There's nothing wrong with them. Yeah. But of course, you know, once you're awake yourself, you actually start to realize, oh, wow. You know, it's not a responsibility, but my responsibility.
I see it in my little sisters.
Of course you do, babe. And you are like their mama, you know, so, and they knew you were going to be together. It's so special. Yeah, it's beautiful. And you watch it, and then you watch how they affect other kids, right? Yeah, you watch absolutely. That. That's amazing. So I'm going to give really little hinters, like I'll whip through these, but they're so key, mum. So like if I just go over it quickly, just grasp it, because they're things that have come up so many times when I've done one-on-one sessions with people, right? Something as simple as this: tidiness. In the house with kids, people end up in rows, Lucy. tidy room, do this, do that, blah, blah. Everyone's, and things get messy, and there's a disharmony with mess and tidiness. When you're, the best way to be with a kid is to show them that. If you're messy, if you're late for appointments, if you don't write to-do lists, and you know, you might need to write things down to get things done, or if you say to your kid, go to your room, clean it, yeah, it sets up polarity. That's one of the biggest things, because kids play all the time, right? Make a mess. But we used to do team work. We used to go in the room and I'd say to Caleb, come on, let's do it together. And then mums would help me with my housework.
Yeah.
So we'd do teamwork in our house. Mums, you know how you start resenting your family when you're actually doing everything for them? It's because you've been doing it and you keep doing it. Get teamwork on your side, get them under your wing and start being like a team, all right? Don't tell them to clean their room, do it with them. Then get them to come and clean the lounge with you, etc. Something so simple, but Lucy, that creates fights in families. Like, it's massive, babe. And tidiness right now, when you're on this planet, actually creates more harmony for your children, because they need that,
you just said this, Debs. I love it. I'm going to send somebody this video and say, watch this. They take the mick out of me for being like nice and tidy and neat and that, and I'm just setting it up for when my little ones come through, you know.
And if you don't do that, you'll find the mind gets out of balance, out of whack, because there's things going on and it pulls and what I did with Caleb, I'll never forget this, girls, and you know what this is like when kids are young, they make such mess. I got Caleb to walk into the room once, right? And I said to him, son, how does that feel? Yeah. How does it feel in here? And he could feel the mess, because these kids are sensitive, these new ones, they're different. And so they can pick up the mess, but they don't know what they're feeling, right? So make it obvious to them. And then when you tidy up, you walk back in and you go, how does that feel? And they'll go, oh, I get it. Yeah. And that's a very important tool for life on this planet. Let's get real, okay?
Love it.
Right, next thing, technology. Let's go there, okay?
Oh gosh.
Excuse my French, F-bombs come out. Okay, so time on tech. Yes, okay. So, let me see what I put here, because I have so many different things going on here with this one. I want you guys to know this. It's not so much the tech, it's what's behind the tech that affects your kids. Now, tech and screens zap kids' energy. I'm telling you, you might think they get high on it, but it zaps their spiritual energy, their essence. It zaps their energy, right? So you really do have a duty to have a balance and a harmony with that. Now, girls, when you're listening to this right now, let's do something, right? In your house, you have computers that your kids are on, right? And you have a phone and computer that you use. Let's just do this together. Imagine right now, over your screens, that you're putting like a shield to prevent sort of that heavy energy or that sucking energy through a screen. So just imagine like almost like a woven screen, and just intend and align with me now as you listen to this, that it goes over all the screens. Because kids their energies do get drained, even though they appear to be hyper. What's happening is they're losing their energy, and their physical starts reacting. What I did one day with Caleb, which he doesn't have, he hardly plays any games, and I was always firm. Now, most mums and dads go, oh, well, other kids do it, so that's fine. Well, I left it right till the last minute, and then Caleb would get 1 hour every 2 weeks. And all the mums said to me, how did you do that? And I'm like, well, I started that way. I didn't use the tech as a babysitter. I didn't sit on my phone in front of him. Hello. How often are we doing? So what I did with Caleb was I'd say to him, Mummy's going to clear her phone, clear the internet, and then we'll come back together. But I would never sit on it. I wouldn't just flick the TV on. And again, that's an example. You've got to show it yourself. Otherwise, the kids can go, you're on your phone. And as they get older, they get smarter about it, don't they? Right? But guys, you need to know that tech drains the spiritual, it drains their energy.
Yeah.
And then when you talk to a kid after, you'll know that because you can feel their fractiousness.
And you're essentially consenting on behalf of the child for their energy to be zapped. You know, there's a lot of energy harvesting taking place at the moment in many different ways, and technology is a great example of that. You know, unknowingly or unconsciously, most people are saying, yeah, you know, this is a distraction, or this is a tool, like you say, as a babysitter. And actually, as a parent, you're consenting for your child's energy to be zapped behind the screen.
Because once you know that, you are. So what happens is when you're conscious, you know that, so you don't allow that to start. When it started and once you're in it, it's a little trickier. But just remember this, girls, all it is a habit. So you got to undo the habit, right? So what you do is when they normally go on it, you put your phone down, you say, let's go do this, have some fun, get present with them. When they're present, just change the pattern. Get them outside, right, and stuff. I'm going to tell you something that happened not too long ago. It was a lady. I was doing a one-on-one with her. The kid's 14 years old, does a lot of gaming, shuts himself in his room. We all know about this, Mum. This can happen, right? So anyway, she said to me, Deb, he's not himself, you know, and I know there's something gone wrong. But what it was it was where there was energy linking in through the screen, you know, and don't get me wrong, I'm not doing the fear factor thing here, but when you start to be conscious, you start to realize, wow, hold on a minute. I'm just not going to allow that, and I'm going to start that earlier, and that's why I started it earlier. Well, this mum, she's to my new. So what actually happened was her son had actually got a shadow energy attached to him because he was so focused on the screen, babe. So we just put screen, you know, some stuff on you girls screen when you listen to this, but just remember that's, you know, it's the energy behind that. Break the patterns. Okay, break the patterns. What I did do one day just to help, because I really feel kids, it's good for them to have an experience with this. With a sensitive child, you'll notice they'll feel it if they've been on a long time. So one day, Caleb may have been about 7. He said, oh, Mum, can I have a bit longer? And I thought, oh, I'm just going to leave you. So I thought I'll continue with my things, and I left him. Anyway, about 3 hours, 20 minutes later, I'm like, okay. So he said, Mum, I'm not feeling that good. I said, oh, son, what do you think that is? He said, I think I've spent too much time playing that game. I said, oh, is that what, does that feel right to you? And he said, yeah. I said, Anyway, I said to him, okay, let's go and ground. Let's go stand in the pool. Let's reset your energy. But I gave him the experience so he knew how it affected him. That's another way to address it with your kids. But it's a biggie. Now, the other thing is, if everyone's using tech to what's that new thing that turns your TV on and does all that?
Oh, I've got no idea. I don't use any of that.
Anyway, just don't go there, guys. Stop getting the latest and greatest of everything with the tech, and it disturbs me greatly when I see kids holding phones when mums are walking around the thing. They're not looking at anything outside. They're looking at the screen, and the little tots are, you know, that disturbs me. But it is a choice. I recognize it has been used as a babysitter. I'm not judging anyone. I'm just saying you need to realize it's what's behind that's important. Change the patterns up, mums. Get them outside. Do things that you know you can do, and get off your own bloody phone is what I'd say, okay? This is so important. They'll watch you. So, and then you can have a balance with it. I do feel you can have a balance with it. You don't have to go black and white on anything you polarize. You're going downhill quick with a kid because you're setting them up for, you know, so just try and get neutral with things and have more of a balance with everything. Right. Cool. Here's the next thing. Oh my God. Right. When you're conscious, the way you speak to your partner and the way you speak to your kids is different. So I'd say to Caleb, oh, would you be kind enough to get that for me, darling? Like I have little words and things I use. So he uses that terminology. So he starts using, you know, so we have kindness. Now, one thing that happens in a family unit is you start resenting each other if you start speaking to each other with disrespect. It's ugly. When there's karma in a family, especially when they get to, you know, this nastiness goes on, all this ugly energy. Guys, start it young. Speak to your husband with respect. Don't say, do this now, do that now. That's so big, because people would say to me, wow, your son has such beautiful manners. I'm like, well, we all talk to each other like that. gratitude in the house, all of that. And again, this might sound like something so little, but it's really big, you know, because the way you're sharing that energy between you is bringing harmony or not.
Yeah.
And when they start getting into teenagers, it starts getting nasty, and it's not very nice.
And it slaps you back around the face.
Yeah. So how about a bit of kindness and love? If you can't have that in your family unit, you know, even the teacher said to me, "Oh, your son's very polite," but it's what, not because he was conforming, but it's because we use that terminology in the house.
Yeah.
And I don't say, "Oh, I don't talk down about my husband," and I don't say, "Oh, yes," what it's everyone's like supportive of each other instead of dissing each other, right? And you can avoid that, and it starts with you. And you have to do it, mums, because otherwise you're just gonna, it's just awful, because you feel, as a mum, you start thinking, my baby's talking to me like crap, what's going on? Well, how are you talking to your hubby? How have you been dictating to them, etc., right?
Yeah, quite a common thing in relationships with children. I hear it all the time, is, "Oh God, look what your mother's done now." And even just something like that, a flippant little comment like that.
It feels awful. Like, it feels awful. So like, also, like, when I make a meal, and mums, we're making meals, cleaning, doing all these things just traditionally, and so I always say to my husband, when Caleb was young, make sure you say thank you and be grateful. Well, he still does that. 20 years later, we've been together. Our hubby said to me the other night, "Oh, thanks for doing the washing." And Caleb said only about 5 minutes before that, "Mum, thanks for doing the washing." And then, mums, how does that feel? When your family appreciates you, then you want to give more. It's just normal. It's like, but people don't rate it. They don't pay attention to it, Lucy. And then they're wondering why there's all this bad vibe thing going on, where conversation is bad, and it's just, so nip it in the bud and do it early, and just watch your own conversation. And if you're conscious, you will anyway. Right, this is another biggie. If you're a people pleaser, if a friend rings up and they've got something wrong and you drop everything and go, if you keep compromising yourself, the kids are really going to watch that. They're going to do it with their kids. Caleb, I had to watch that with him, not because I do it, but he just wanted to please people. He was sensitive. He just liked to. So be careful with these sensitive kids, because they want to people please. Show them that you have boundaries with your relationships, with your friendships. Don't let people just drop in on your house and change your whole day. And don't bend to other people. Just say, you know what? Even with the kids, like I'd say to Caleb, Mum is going to do a meditation before I cook dinner tonight, because I need to balance myself first. So show that, Mum, to your kids, and then there'll be more respect between you. But the kids won't try and please their friends as well. You've got to have self-respect in this world, and you've got to have boundaries, and we have to teach our kids that, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So biggie. Right, you and I are on the page with this as well, right? Lifestyle habits, if you don't do it, you can't preach it to your kids. So I run with the buggy, take the Caleb out, do all this stuff, clean eating, balance of everything. If you don't do that, you cannot start dictating that to your child. I just want to say this to the mums that might be vegan, or any mum that's going down one particular route. Be aware your kids, what they need might not be what you're actually eating. This is very important. I'll tell you why. Because I had a vegan mum, and her son wasn't doing very well on the diet, and obviously that's how she was living, and I get it, because we're mostly plant-based too. But her son has memories of being a meat eater, so he was actually losing eye. He just wasn't, his health wasn't that good, but it was because that child remembered lifetimes where he was healthy, and he ate meat. So it was a bit strange. So just tune in, mums, because it might be that your kids might need something different to you. That's all.
Absolutely.
And pay attention to that. Don't project your own way of doing it, but obviously start with offering the best you can, but just don't control them. Don't stop controlling it. Because kids sometimes need something different. Spirituality.
Stop controlling generally. Stop.
No, stop it. Just show the way and do what you do, and let them choose their experience, because they're soul buddies. They're not your babies, just your babies, So that's why I said shift your perspective. Right now, a lot of people ask me this: should my kids be meditating and all of this? Right? Okay, Caleb does now, but here's the news: I never Lucy, I never told him to meditate. I just did it.
Yeah.
I did it.
Yeah.
Okay. And so he would watch me in the beginning when he was young. It's funny because, you know, they walk around and everything. And he would just watch me. And I said to hubby, you know, so I said, we'll never tell him. It's up to him. And he would watch the balance change, and he'd watch it. And he started doing it himself.
Yeah.
And I said to him the other day, and he's 14 now, I said to him, you know, you just started doing it by yourself. I said, Jim, I'm glad you didn't tell me to do it. Because I don't think you should tell children, because spirituality is natural to them. I bet you've told people that. So don't preach when you know stuff, girls, mums, about spirituality. Don't preach the meditation. Don't do all that. Just do it yourself. Okay, girls. That's all I can say.
When I was living at my dad's for that time, my little sisters used to mirror constantly. They, you know, whenever they would come in and I would be meditating,
I love it.
They would just be like, can I come and do it with you?
I know,
of course. And then they'd be looking at me like that through one eye, just checking what I'm doing, you know.
That's exactly what Caleb did. And the funny thing is what they're doing, because they respond to energy fields, we all do, they're just looking, going, I want some of that. And they want to sit on you, they want to sit in it, the animals. So just do it yourself, right? Oh, yeah. Caleb has put a meditation out there for the younger people, and it probably suits 8 years up. But, you know, in that meditation, it just teaches them to go, it just says, go inside. Clear out your old stuff that you've picked up from anyone, including your parents, drop that and reset yourself. So he does have a lovely meditation on there, but you don't have to preach that to your kids. Now, don't talk about all this spiritual stuff. Don't tell them about their old lives, all of that. Like, just live
stop trying to
bloody
control
life.
It. Yeah. Like, it's
because
irrelevant who they were and where they came from. Let them figure it out when they're ready. You know,
this is very important, actually, and I'll say this because I think, do we have a question about this? And again, we don't mention mums' names, but if you find out that your child, and I knew a lot of Caleb's lives, if you find out about these lives, you don't need to tell them, because the thing is, their focus needs to be in this life right now. And if you're telling them about other lives they've had, it could be any life, it can actually confuse the hoovers out of them. It really can.
You know, so it can hold them back. It can put them on a different path. Like, let them decide their path this lifetime. Yeah.
And also, just remember, guys, let me just tell you straight up, it's not past lives, they're concurrent lives. Okay, we're all multidimensional beings, we're all having other lives. I mean, I've got a video about that. It's so what's actually happening is we are condensing all that, you know. My knowing the bigger picture video tells you that, but the kids are too. So don't need to talk to them about that, but they do have, they will be aware of having other memories or other lives. Obviously, if they talk to you, you can talk to them about it, but then say this to them: this life, my darling, is the one we're focused on now. Bring your awareness here. And then you can tell them, look, you have a lot of magic inside you. That's your inside world. But this here is where we're playing again. This is our focus. Very much do that, because you have to tell them how to navigate this world, because when they know something about themselves, because we are all multidimensional, and it could confuse the hell out of the kids. So anyway, I didn't do that until Caleb told me. I will tell you this.
Yeah, that's interesting, actually, because one of my little sisters told me that I was their mum when I was a scullery maid.
That's right.
And also she's told me that she was a mermaid, but that's her offering to me, not the other way around.
To you. Yeah. And don't listen to quantum healing, or don't listen to people that are telling you those things. Even if they can see it, you can know it for yourself as a mum, but it still doesn't make any difference, because your focus has got to be this life. Yeah. It's got to be this life. That's why they've come into this life.
Isn't it? It's just another distraction.
Yeah, it
is. Being present and disconnecting from the heart space.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. It's huge, right? Okay, so that's the spirituality thing. Very key. Right. The other thing is, I just want to remind mums this. Do you remember when your kids were babies and you were going from feed to feed, and you really didn't have any time, you didn't get much sleep, but you were very present? Presence, and we all want to go back there once the kids get older, and every mum's going to listen to this and go, yes, when their babies, because it's such a lovely time. It can be busy but it's lovely time. But the reason why it's lovely is because you were present. Now, what happens as the kids get older, you lack presence. You start getting into your head thinking, be present with your children. Just stay present. They'll tell you things like Lucy's little sisters. they'll tell you things and they'll unfold things themselves. I mean, I even do this with Caleb just lately. He loves looking at the Lego magazines, and he still loves Lego. And do you know what I do? I get a cup of coffee and I sit there. We sat there outside by the pool the other day, and it's spring here, so it's lovely.
Yeah,
and I said to him, tell me what you like in there. And I just sat there and I listened to him, and I was so present, and it was so fun. And he said, Mum, thanks for listening. I loved that. Now
that's beautiful.
basically presence consolidates your relationship. Presence, it grows love. It's like, I'm here for you. You're a team member. You know, instead of dictating and controlling, you know, your child, you be present. And you did it when they were babies. So if you can do it, and when you're present, you can feel them. You know that. You feel them, and it's exciting. And then you start wanting to play, and there's a whole load of things that goes with that. But presence is key, right? Cool. The other thing, when you're present, oh, wow. So many mums say to me, I don't know what to do about that. And I'll say to them, get present. You'll know what to do. Wow. When you're present, you get messages right then in that moment.
Yeah.
Boom.
Totally.
Drop the mic. You have to get present. I tell you, it's all about your own consciousness.
Yes,
you know.
is. Absolutely.
So I'm just reinforcing it, you know, because so your beliefs, you know, they're going to become theirs. So be careful what you say to them about beliefs. Even something as simple as like, I don't like maths. Don't tell your kids that. Because I don't like maths either, but I didn't tell Caleb. But anything you're telling them that's polarized, guys, you're setting them up for beliefs, and they may not serve them. Insert good beliefs. Like I remember saying to Caleb, you've got a great memory, son. And even now he's like, Mum, I've got a good memory. They start repeating them back to you when you've actually imprinted good beliefs. Be aware of it. That's all I'm going to say to you, because if you're telling them, you know, if you're showing them that the world's unsafe and you believe that, then they're going to start showing that to you. So just remember, your beliefs become theirs. I just got here, listen to them. Really listen. When's the last time you listen to your kids? Like I'm talking about not dictating. Don't say, oh, you've got to do your homework, clean your room. Like really listen. How are you? And just really listen. Don't say anything back, because as parents, we're always, you know, wanting to say it. You might be surprised at what you get from them when you actually start listening, especially if you have communication problems. Just get in the car, go for a drive, or go for a walk, go for a bike ride. Listen, how are you? See what comes up. Because if you do have problems with communication, they'll always open up when you're bloody driving them somewhere. I mean, I never had that, but I know that this is something that really could help a mum find out more about her kid. Right. The reason why it's so important to clear your own stuff, I'll tell you, because they're going to show you. If you've got fears on something, they'll show you. By the way, some of the kids at the moment are clearing their old lives too. So if you get a really weird thing come up with your kid, just don't try to fix it and control it and over focus on it. You'll probably find they'll just walk through it. Especially when they're young, you would have noticed this, mums. Like, I mean, even when Caleb was doing swimming lessons, I remember this mum, her son panicked in the pool, and I could see he was healing an old life of where he drowned, but the mum's got no idea what's going on. I'm looking at her, she's getting all stressed and everything naturally, but I could see it was healing an old life of drowning. So with Caleb, I was able to see it as it was, you know, because I was present, see it as it went. But just if little things come up, don't panic, because the kids are just rolling through their little cleansing in those karmic balancing relationships as well. Don't make too big a thing of it, you know, especially in their first 7 years, especially, because things change all the time. Right. Couple of questions I got. How do I help my kids focus, especially kids that show ADD, ADHD and stuff? Right. Guess what? This is a really tricky one, because the kids that have ADD have a beautiful, could we say, intelligent software. It's like Alzheimer's. They like know everything all at once, right? So getting them to focus is actually, in a way, their higher self said, oh, they don't need to focus as much as be aware that they can, you know, just shift awareness to something, right? So they're wired that way. But anyway, for that particular mum, and she knows who she is, I know she'll watch this, I know she's homeschooling, and this is what you need. So if you're homeschooling a child and they can't focus, this is what you need to do, girls. First of all, go out and do some exercise with them. Go do something in the garden or whatever. Move some of the energy first. Secondly, play solfeggio, harmonics, sound frequencies, quiet in the background when you're got them at the table teaching them something, right? The sound they'll pick up because they're sensitive. Right. Next thing is do small sections of work with them. Don't try and do the whole day's work. Just get agreement with them and say, we're just going to do that one thing and then we're going to go and play. We're going to do that one thing and then we'll go and have a chocolate drink. We'll do that one and just get agreement. Mums have trouble with this with the high vibe kids because they're scattered, but they're not really, they're all timers. They're kind of like just multifaceted, but that will help that mum, and I love that mum. I know what she's doing. So to any of you mums out there, you know, that are homeschooling, I'm homeschooling now, I honor you for that. And I know it doesn't suit everyone, but just they're things that will help you. Right, someone said this to me. I'm running through this quick, but I hope it's okay. How do you speak to your kids on their level? How do you get to your level? I'm like, okay. So kids, depending on their age, everything's vibration to them. So how do you speak to them on their level? Well, you need to shift your vibration to, you know, in the heart. You need to get into your heart because they can't deal with this part of it. They're dealing with this part of it. Yeah. So how do you meet your kids on their level? You've got to vibe with them. You've got to get into the heart. Now I'm going to give you a quick tool. A golden infinity symbol. A golden infinity, a golden number 8, will harmonize you and your child. So let's imagine you've got to get something done with one of your kids. Mum, before you get something done with them, imagine a golden infinity between your hearts. So you're in one side, they're in the other. Just use it as an imagination, like it's a quantum tool, and connect heart to heart, and then approach them. You know, because if you're doing that, it's a heart-based thing. I gave that to someone a little while ago as a corporate dad. He was working, you know, all hours. He'd come home and his little 4-year-old girl, she was always very demanding. She wanted to play. We know what this is like. And I said to him, just use a golden infinity and connect with her heart. And he phoned me. Oh, babe, he phoned me. Yeah. And it helps the bond. Once you've got the bond, you won't need to use it. Once you've got the strength, and you won't need to. But this guy rang me in tears. He said to me, Deb, do you know, he said, my daughter, who's 4, said to me, Daddy, you're here. You're playing with me. Because he had used the golden infinity, got down to her, and obviously he still had some work stuff going on in his head, but she was feeling he was present, babe.
Love that.
He cried.
That's so beautiful.
And he's so corporate, you know, he was like, please help me with my kids. I can't link in. I can't meet them on their level. That's what we did.
Girl,
so simple.
Yeah, it really
is. So the other thing is, I've got on YouTube, I've got how to speak to your child's soul. Guys, talk to the soul, talk to the higher self of your child. That's why it's important to be connected with your own. There's a little recording there. You can just listen to it and ask your child what they need. And it doesn't matter what age the child is, you can speak to the child's higher self. That's what I do in sessions anyway. Talk to their higher self, go to the top, you know, and it's much easier. All right. So that helps those people because they wanted to get on the same level. Right. How do I deal with a child that has anxiety about losing a parent? Now, this one is if you're in contact with who you are, and this mum obviously is because she picked it up, a hint of it. If a child's showing that anxiety, they may have lost you in an old life. So they're clearing an old life. They've come in with that karmic imbalance and they're back with you and they feel they're going to lose you. So there's just a reinforcement that goes on there. You need to talk to their higher self and recognize it's just another life. It's just another life. Just reinforce that connection. It's important for people to know also that this world programs that into the kids as well. Like it's in movies where they lose their mum and dad, they lose someone. So just know if they're watching a lot of movies, they may have picked up those imprints of losing the parent. And parents, if you feel you're going to lose your kids and you're really worried about this world and all that, you've probably, you know, lost them in another life too. So just be present for all this stuff, but don't make a big thing out of it. But definitely I want to tell that mum, yes, it's an old life for her child, and that's what it is. And if you know, once you get in alignment with yourself, you know what it is. And I did this thing with Caleb once, because he actually had an old life where he burned in a car and he couldn't get out, right? So I think I told you this, but just so the mums get this, right? So I put Caleb in the car seat. He was only, well, maybe 2.5, 3. I locked him in and I just went back to the porch, which was about 10 meters away, to get my handbag. And he cried and he screamed, and I'm like, what's going on? He's never done that before. I looked at the car, but because I was conscious and in my higher self, I'm like, what's going on? Don't panic. I looked at, and it's like, I could see in my mind's eye that he had burnt in a car and he couldn't get out before, and he was healing that life. Mum, all you do is this: go to the child, hold the child, and just say, it's okay, you're going to be fine. And don't talk to them about the old life, just be present, and they will cry it out. And that happens with a lot of children when they're young. So don't think there's something wrong with my baby. Just think, oh, they're letting go of old energy. And a lot of kids are doing that right now, especially the young ones. All right. So just know it's just a clearing. That would scare a mum. She'd be like, that doesn't normally happen. What's going on? But I could see enough just to know that. Okay. Right. Okay. Here's another one. Okay. So again, I won't mention the mum's name, but these are your emails that you got through your Self-Love Club mamas. The mum that has the 6-year-old boy that has tons of energy. Now, how many people have got kids that have got tons of energy? Very, very common. So this kid's got a lot of energy. And this is the mum that saw orbs around her child as well. Now, that your child, you have a very special child actually, and they've got different wiring in their systems. They're a powerful being actually, not a little 6-year-old boy. Like when I look at that soul, it's amazing because I can see layers to that soul. And I don't want to go into all this personal information, but I want you to know that you know, in order to help your son, he's got to get outside with bare feet on the ground, and he needs to move. He needs to move his energy. He also needs to know how to direct his energy, but he's a little bit young at the moment. So one of the things you do, mum, is when he goes to bed at night and you go lie with him and check out how his day was, get him to release all the old energy or send the energy down into the earth. Just release or empty out your day. Say to him, empty out your day, son, so you can sleep and be clear and have a good sleep. That's what that child needs right now. You know, Caleb tunes into the kids, when I do sessions, and it's so good because he gives another flavor of something. Yeah. So, but this is also what his higher self just wanted to share with mum. You need to connect to your knowingness and wisdom inside, because you know what to do with me, and you don't need to control what's going on with me or overly focus on me. Do your own path. So this boy also needs a very stable mum that's in connection with her higher self. It comes back to what I said in the beginning. Beautiful soul, that boy. And there's so many lovely kids on this planet, and he's quite a unique one. He's one of 100 that's a little different. You know, just making sure you've got no karma with your child is going to be a big thing, and get in alignment, because he's here to make a difference, and he already is. Next one, Mama from Self-Love Club. Mama K, I'm going to call her. K is the beginning of the name. So with the 8-year-old daughter, the fiery daughter, the fiery child. Now, Mum, I just want to tell you something. Yes, you're onto it. Your kid does pick up other people's energy. So guys, a lot of the kids empath and pick up energy, right? So yes, your daughter does do that. One of her roles on this planet is to transmute energy, right? But again, like the other mum, you've got to, I used to do this for Caleb every night. Lie down with them when they go to sleep. Say to them, empty your day, empty all the energy, send it down into the earth or up, in however they want to do it, either up or down. But you must get them to empty, because the reason why the daughter's showing up and like it's almost explosive when she releases is because it's a build-up. She gets a build-up and she needs to be able to let it go every night. Mum, lie with her when she goes to sleep. That will help your child in no end. All you mums out there, I've put a violet flame cleanse for your whole house, and it takes about 7 minutes to do it. Mums, that is what you need to do. Keep your space clear for your babies, for your kids, for your kiddos, because that clearing actually helps them keep resetting.
Yeah.
And it keeps them on purpose. You know, babe, this is huge, because a lot of mums really struggle with the energy kids carry. But you just help them empty their day. Just say to them, hey, you've had a big day, empty it all out now. You know, but do it every day, because if you miss it, it does build up and it gets destructive. You don't want the energy she's clearing to go into her emotional body, so she does need to empty regularly. Okay, but there's nothing wrong with her. She's a bright, sparky one.
I've met that child. I've met that child, and I said exactly what you said about transmuting energy to her. Powerful, yeah, she's on little warrior, that one.
She doesn't need protecting. No, she doesn't need protecting, mum. Okay. And when you asked, how do I detect or clear anything that I've created? Well, that's where your alignment's key. So she wants you to get in alignment. They've got amazing kids there. Wow, boom. But the mum has got to do herself, you see, because mum stabilizes. So I stabilize things for Caleb, so he realized things, and letting go every day is key. But use my violet flame meditation, because you will help your kids in ways that you just can't even see. Use a violet flame, just clear all the time. I would do it a couple of times a day, and you can do that, mum, and it makes a big difference. Right. Cool. That was that one. Right. That's cool. Right. Punishment. I'm just going to talk about this. Doesn't work. If you're punishing your child the old school way, it just doesn't work, guys. It sets you up for polarity. It's right. You know, I mean, it really is something that really mucks up the relationship for a while. So you need to recognize that the kids just get smarter about not telling you stuff. They're just like, oh, well, and as they get older, they get better at doing that, right? So what you got to do is there needs to be this open communication. Get your kids on, you know, be on your kids' side. Just say to them, hey, listen, as I get older, I'm on your side. What do you need? What do you actually need right now? And like with Caleb, Caleb hardly ever had a little fit. But if he did, I'd just say to him, son, take it to your bedroom and hit the bed and let go of that energy. You have to teach your child, just say to them, hey, look, it's okay to feel that frustration, because a lot of the kids in karmic balancing relationships get frustrated and they want to hit out. Get them hit the bed, get a boxing bag, do something, but let them release it, you know, because they're frustrated sometimes with what's happening on the planet as well, and they're such high vibe. You can't blame them, can you? So you got to get on their side and get, you know, you got to be like a team, create that from the beginning, instead of saying,
really
hey,
valuable.
Oh, babe, listen, if you're punishing them, you're showing them. Okay, think about this. They're saying, oh, mummy loves me. She's punishing me. So they're associating love with punishment.
Yeah, right.
What do you think they're going to do with relationships when they get into a relationship later? Oh, well, you know, love, you know, when you love someone, you punish them.
You punish
Babe,
them.
it don't work.
No.
Listen, I know it's hard for people because they think there's got to be consequences and everything, but what you need to do is get down with that child, get on the same vibrational level. Mum, you know what to do with your own child when you get in alignment. That's your job.
And look at yourself as to why you're calling this in via your child.
Yes, and they will show you frustration if you're not on your path. They have to do that. They have to do that. So once you're in alignment, you won't, all that stuff goes away. And if it comes up, you just go, oh, go and hit the bed. You know, I'm on your side. What do you need? Is there anything I can do for you or whatever? And they go, oh, what? You want to support me? Oh, instead of, right, you're not going there on Saturday as a teenager, or no, you can't do this. It just doesn't work.
It's
Anyway, you create polarity
now as well, isn't it? It's very old-fashioned, that method.
And these kids won't respond to it. You'll create a dynamic that actually can be quite awful. But here's the news. The good thing about these new kids, it can click and quickly move. So don't think what I did or didn't do yesterday, Mum. Don't think about how you've judged yourself. Just make sure that you operate in the moment now. So don't look back, oh, when I did that yesterday, it didn't work. No, see it how you want it. Talk to their soul. Listen to that recording I put out there. That's why I put these things out there, to help mums, like talk to their soul, or just use a violet flame and clear the energy, you know, or just all these simple things. I'll tell you what, it's lovely to be in a family and it's in harmony. So, and, you know, and you do have to clear your karma. and clear all this stuff, own all this stuff now, because we are all moving to this new paradigm and you can't take any baggage with you. And so mums, you know, you got this, you got it. We got you back. All right. Right. The only thing I would say with mums about spiritual or that spirituality, that side, and you've done this with your sisters so well, don't tell them that the imagination's not real. If they start talking to you about something, get down with them. Lie down there. Just like, oh yeah, oh who's that? Who's that? Because they're always talking to other beings until 7. And once you've told a kid your imagination's not real, of course, they start shutting that sixth sense off. They start shutting things off. So just talk to them only when they want to. Don't try and pull it out of them. Don't try and do all that. Caleb, and then Caleb said he thought, you know, the only thing that you should talk to the kids about is they've got magic on the inside and connect to their own magic. Stay connected to their own magic, okay? And then the kids will, as they get older, just stay connected to that. That's on Caleb's meditation as well. So, Mum, we've talked heaps. I love you all. I'm just going to summarize this, right? The best way to help your kids, we've just shifted a whole load of energy for you. We let go of the old from other lives in this life, where you've been a mum in the beginning of the session. We brought in the self-love, right? Okay, so that shift's been done. And now you've got to nurture your own connection with your higher self, clear your old energies. However you do, that's, you know, your thing. If you're in a karmic balancing relationship, you must sort that karma. That is the sole reason you are together with your child this life. And you must sort your karma with your hubby, and you must sort your karma with your own parents. If you don't do that, you are just, the ancestral line continues, and it can't. It's got to stop here. So that is something I'm very big on, you know, when I'm doing one-on-ones with people. Do you know how easy I can clear that? It's so easy, but you've got to come to your own party on that one. Yeah. Right. Don't forget, your children chose you. If you're having issues, and niggles as well, don't go into this self-judgment, or I'm a victim to this situation. Just remember, oh, my kids chose me. Hold on, we chose each other. So what's the best thing I can do in this moment? Don't judge yourself for anything that, you know, because a lot of mums and dads go, oh, I haven't got it perfect for them. And they start creating this, you know, they have this guilt and shame around their parenting. Well, that stuffs a child up, because the child can see that. And then they're like, oh, but I chose you and you're not being authentic with me. You're just covering up stuff, and you're just you know, so that's quite important. Just remember, as actually really sweet, a young mum that I know really well, I love her so much. I've known her since she was about 8 years old, right? It's so amazing. And she's had her children young. And she said to me, Deb, you said to me once, my children chose me. And now anytime I feel like I make what I call a parent mistake, and there are no mistakes, but she says, all I think of is Deb said to me, let it go. My child chose me. They're getting an experience right now, and I'm doing the best I can. And that stops this build-up of parent shame and guilt. All right, be authentic with your kids. Be consistent. Don't tell them lies, you know, and be consistent. It's very important. Your presence will build the best rapport ever with your child. Just be present. Listen to them. Keep your space clear, mums. Use a violet flame. Every mum would be very beneficial for you, especially when your kids are under 7, to just say to them, let go of your day. You've had a day, and reset because kids take stuff to bed, babe. And if they're thinking about what's happened at school, whatever, once you teach them when they're younger just to let go of their day, we don't do prayers and religious things. We just say, hey, look, let's give thanks for our day. Let's let it all go so we can sleep in peace and start afresh the next day.
Absolutely. Perfect.
So there's a lot there.
Yeah, it's a long video. If you're still watching now, then brilliant.
Yeah, and and we covered it quickly, but those points are key, and you girls needed the help, and you've got it. It's what you do with it now. Just know, mums, I love you all, and I'll tell you, I so honor you for giving that body to your child, you know, because you know, that's the biggest thing, right? And the kids are going to make the difference on this planet. So you stabilize you for your kids, you know.
It's all about the children. It's all about the children.
Keep watching them.
Thank you so much for coming on, and sharing your wisdom on this subject. It's always lovely to see you, babe. And I know that people have been pining for this video. They were like, where was it when we were supposed to do it last week? They're like, where's the video? I'm like, oh, you have to wait.
Bless.
Yeah, you have to wait for it.
Yeah.
But it's here now, and I will get this out as quickly as I can. So thank you so much for your time. Send your gorgeous
It's my
boys
pleasure,
my love,
babe.
because it's beautiful to see you, and it was lovely to see Caleb before we started. And
I
ladies
know.
and gents, please do comment below this video, because I know, even though it's for mamas, I know men will watch this, because I'm going to send it to a couple of men actually, because I think it will help them just understand certain dynamics. But do comment below, do reach out if you need to, and all of the information will be in the description field for you guys. Okay, we will see you in the next video, guys. Have the most beautiful day. Lots of love.
Bye.